It's the Jim and Terry Show, minus the Jim, so it's the Terry Show. Another installment without my co-host, Jim, who is dog sitting. Or was that dog napping? Napping. Maybe it's the afternoon. Jim, wake up, wake up. Come over. Whatever you're doing. Clink, clink. Here's to the fresh roasted, dark roast coffee for the morning. And what are we talking about today? Well, let's go back to the opening track. This one, King of the Concrete Jungle, largely constructed by Keith Allen, who just asked for a straightforward backbeat, a kick, snare, so he could drive some of what he was feeling about edgy stuff. Concrete Jungle, talking about poverty in the inner city in the concrete jungle. Yeah, you can be king of the concrete jungle, but at what cost would you reign in that mix of concrete? I don't know. But Keith explores it all, and the sound will be released on SoundCloud in a couple of weeks. That's fresh off the press, giving you a preview of that stuff. Continuing on with things that I'd sent to Jim in emails, things that I'm aware of. I'm wondering, let's go back and visit CNN's town hall with Trump. That's really generated a lot of reaction. And I responded to a reaction by the Stay Spiritual group and wondered about whether you really can have a middle position, a moderate, when the leading candidate for one of the two political parties in the United States is, a criminal? Convicted criminal. He's been convicted of libel and sexual abuse. He's been convicted of fraud. The Trump Organization charity, they're stealing money from their own charity for themselves. How low can you go? I don't think we found the bottom of that barrel yet. Stay tuned for more. But things that are a little odd about the CNN town hall is simply that he was allowed what I called a 60-second infomercial. Free. 60 minutes, not 60 seconds. Usually you get an infomercial, it's just short and sweet and cut to the chase of things that you wanted to say, but Trump got to rail for an hour, unreined. There's no bridle on him, no bit for him to chomp against. At least not that I saw in the Caitlin Collins hosting of it all. And I do like Caitlin Collins for the most part, but that was an unfair matchup. To what extent was all that negotiated? The crowd may not have been all Republicans or all independents, but they were all supporting Trump. Did they all cheer? No. Did most cheer? Was it loud? Yes. Was it appropriate cheering? Not really, because what the audience was cheering at were lies and more misinformation that Trump is spreading again, free of charge on a major news network, or what maybe was a major news network. I'm not sure where news is going anymore, but CNN, most trusted name in news. I remember the old ads during the Trump years. Apples. This is not an apple. This is an apple. Do you remember those commercials? Yeah, one thing stands out. An orange. Agent Orange, as I call the former president. Agent Orange. Yeah, I'm not sure you can give that guy, because he's an insurrectionist as well. He put up the January 6th. They've all paid the price. They've all gone to court. Over 1,000 people have been processed through the Department of Justice, and some of them are getting the ultimate charge, which is seditious conspiracy, which goes back to sort of revolutionary days when you were against the government. It was off with your head, days of capital punishment. But the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, were tried and found guilty and convicted of this charge. And who put them up to it? Every single one of them said Trump. They wouldn't have been there, even though one's on lesser charges, breaking and entering, blocking an obstacle to a legal proceeding, which was certifying the election. all of that stuff was at the behest of Trump. And that is where I trust Jack Smith is going with his investigations of Mar-a-Lago documents taken and mined. Trump, using his Vulcan mind power, he declassified them with sheer thinking in his own mind. I can do it with a thought, I think he said. And then he's just admitted on CNN that he did it. He took what he took. Yeah, you did, and there's a consequence for that. Did any of that stuff wind up in foreign hands? China, are you listening? Russia, are you listening? Who else is listening? Who else received any information from the unreliable source, Donald Trump? That all remains to be seen, played out in the courts. Fortunately, the courts still seem to be holding. There was a lot of question when Trump was first elected about whether the institutions of justice, of the legislature would prevail. That largely they have held. And one of them is that you do a crime, you will do the time. It's just a matter of when, where, and how you are prosecuted and charges will be made. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I do not like games of chance. I do not like risk at all. Risk averse, that's me. Give me the old middle of the road. Let me figure things out and make a plan. And that's the way I roll through life. Learning to be spontaneous and risk accepting. How's that? Risk accepting, not risk averse. Well, that's a lesson. But is it a lesson you want to take with a country on a national level with a democracy at stake? And that's where we get back to Chris Licht and CNN. And I mentioned in the Jim and Terry show that I had some questions about whether the interviewer, Caitlin Collins, was the best choice to go up against Trump. And lo and behold of this week, Christiane Amanpour, who is an international, I think she's the chief of the international news desk for CNN. Well-respected lady. I would like her reporting, like the way she covers news. And she's, dare I say, older and wiser. No offense to Caitlin Collins, but I'm thinking this line was telling. In an interview, and I think I read it on the actual CNN website, she said she had a robust discussion with Chris Licht about the morality of having Trump on CNN for such a primetime air show. And robust is a good word. That's a politically correct word to say that there were probably some heated exchanges in there. Like, what are you thinking? What are you trying to do? There's no room for this kind of approach to news anymore. Democracy is at stake. But one line in that report did tell something to me that I wanted to pick up, and that's that she said, Christiane Amanpour, that I would have dropped the mic at the word nasty. And there is the difference between a novice reporter and a seasoned journalist, in my opinion. You got to have a red line. And if your guest transcends, steps over, walks over, drives a bulldozer over and puts on the backup signals and backs up and goes over you again, at what point do you actually still have any journalistic integrity? And my suggestion is that you don't. If the guest runs roughshod, cannot be reined in, is not held accountable, or you did try to fact check once in a while, but not enough to make it anything but the Donald Trump show. You're fired. Who's fired? Well, in this case, it's not Caitlin Collins, but Donald Trump seemed to be the boss again, thinking he was on a reality TV show. It was his show, his dime. I don't know what the backroom deals were that got him on the show, but I do take issue with the show and with the airing. It is not a question of free speech at all, as some would like to portray it. Is it CNN finding a middle road where they were too far to the left? I don't know about that either. CNN at times had way too many Republicans defending Donald Trump along the way. And I got to the point of turning off the TV when I got tired of hearing the same old nonsense, the same old election fraud for 4 years. That's enough. Let's move on. So I'm not sure that it was too left-leaning, but certainly the Donald Trump show did prevail on CNN, and I have a problem with that. Don't watch much CNN anymore, though I still survey the news from multiple sources. I do agree with Christiane Amanpour, and I'm looking forward to more of her writings. Maybe she'll reveal more about the conversation with Chris Licht. I'm not sure about that fellow. I'm not sure about where he's taken CNN. The morning show seems to be off the rails a little bit wonky at this point. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe there will be a voice of reason, neither left nor right. Well, I don't know about this both sidesism either, because there is no both sidesism to truth. You're either telling the truth or you are not. In Donald Trump's case, 30,000 plus lies in 4 years in office. That was while he's in office. Were there some constraint? Imagine what he's saying in his everyday life. Wait a minute, we do know what he's saying in everyday life. Go to Truth Social and watch what he's saying. If you're not interested, then good for you. I'm Terry, the Jim and Terry Show, minus the Jim. Bye-bye for now.